वासुदेवेन्द्र योगीन्द्रं नत्वा ज्ञानप्रदं गुरुं मुमुक्षूणां हितार्थाय तत्त्वबोधोऽभिधीयते। नित्यं शुद्धं निराभासं निराकारं निरञ्जनं नित्यबोधं चिदानन्दं गुरुं ब्रह्म नमाम्यहम्।
आप फॉलो करेंगे?
हाँ जी, मैं कोशिश करता हूँ। अथ चतुर्विंशति तत्व उत्पत्ति प्रकारं वक्ष्यामः। ब्रह्माश्रया सत्त्वरजस्तमो गुणात्मिका माया अस्ति। तत् आकाशात् सम्भूतः। आकाशाद् वायुः। वायोस्तेजः। तेजस आपः। अद्भया पृथिवी। एतेषां पञ्चतत्त्वानां मध्ये आकाशस्य सात्विकांशात् श्रोत्रेन्द्रियं सम्भूतम्। वायोः सात्विकांशात् त्वगिन्द्रियं सम्भूतम्। अग्नेः सात्विकांशात् चक्षुरिन्द्रियं सम्भूतम्। जलस्य सात्विकांशात् रसनेन्द्रियसम्भूतम्। पृथ्व्या सात्विकांशात् नेन्द्रिय संभूतम में आई गॉट कंफ्यूज है। सात्विकांशात् द ये आप बता दीजिए। हाँ जी,
सात्विकांशात् घ्राणेन्द्रियम्।
ज्ञानेन्द्रिय। अच्छा अच्छा, वो
ग्रा
मुझे
ग्रा ग्रा
ग्रा ग्रानेन्द्रिय। हाँ जी। एतेषां पञ्चतत्त्वानां समष्टि सात्विकांशात् मनोबुद्ध्य अहङ्कारम् चित्तान्तःकरणानि सम्भूतानि। संकल्प विकल्पात्मकं मना निश्चयात्मिका बुद्धि। अहंकर्ता अहंकार चिंतन कृत कर्तृचित्तम्। मनसो देवता चंद्रमः। बुद्धे ब्रह्मः। अहंकारस्य रुद्रः। चित्तस्य वासुदेवः। एतेषां पञ्चतत्त्वानां मध्ये आकाशस्य राजसांशात् वागिन्द्रियं सम्भूतम्। वायोराजसांशात् पानीन्द्रियं सम्भूतम्। वह्ने राजसांशात् पादेन्द्रियं सम्भूतम्। जलस्य राजसांशात् उपस्थेन्द्रियं सम्भूतम्। पृथिव्याः राजसांशात् गुदेन्द्रियं सम्भूतम्। एतेषां समष्टिराजसांशात् पञ्चप्राणः सम्भूतः। एतेषां पञ्चमहाभूतानां तामसांशस्वरूपम्। एकमेकं भूतं द्विधा विभज्यम् एकमेकमर्धं पृथक्। सॉरी, एकमेकमर्धं पृथक्। तूष्णीं व्यवस्थाप्य अपरं परमर्धं चतुर्धा विभज्य स्वाधर्मण्येषु अर्धेषु स्वभाग चतुष्टय संयोजनं कार्यम्।
वेरी गुड।
तदा पञ्चीकरणं भवति। एतेभ्यः पञ्चीकृत पञ्चमहाभूतेभ्यः स्थूलशरीरं भवति। एवं पिण्ड ब्रह्माण्डयोरैक्यं सम्भूतम्। स्थूल शरीराभिमानी जीवनाम.
जीवनामकम.
एक्चुअली मेरे ये इस लाइन के ऊपर ना वो है बने हुए, तो मेरे से पढ़ाई जा रही है लाइन.
We'll stop here. Okay, thank you so much. We have to do this portion. We'll stop here. Thank you. Very well done. Very well attempted. Great. So now we have arrived at what was Satyam. Atma is Satyam. Sarvam, everything. Anyatha, Anyat, other than Satyam is Mithya. So other than whatever is Atma is Mithya. This is the fundamental premise that we have to arrive to in our reflection and in our recognition of the statement and own it as truth. Till we don't see it as truth, it is not our truth. It is a statement of understanding, or it is a statement of belief, it is a statement of acceptance, it is a statement of faith, but it is not a statement coming from one's recognition of the truth of the statement. So the statement is Atma Satyam Tadanyat Sarvam Mithya. This is the truth. This is a fact. Understood, not understood, recognized, not recognized, recognized now, recognized billions of years later, never recognized, the statement will not change. The truth will not change. This is the truth, that knowing which, what is the advantage of knowing such a truth which seems so subtle, etc.? What is the advantage of it? Knowing which, whoever has known this, whoever has been able to come to a resolution of understanding of this, come to have a resolute understanding around this statement, of acceptance of this statement, by verification in one's experiences that one has, and recognizing that yes, this is that truth that is being pointed out. On such a recognition, samsaraha nashtaha. This is going to be said later on. So the whole build-up is around the statement Atma is Satyam, Sarvam Mithya. Then what is Atma? Stula Sukshma Karana Sharirat Vyatiriktah Panchakoshatitah Swapnavasthatraya Satchit Ananda Swarupa Atma Iti. That is Atma. Stula Shariram Sukshma Shariram Vyatiriktah. There we said Sukshma and Sthula Shariram have emerged from Karan Shariram. And having finished this microcosmic layer of knowing what is not truth and what is truth, having understood by the process of Neti, Sthula Sharir is not Atma, Sukshma Sharir is not Atma, Panchakosha is not Atma, etc. By knowing this, recognizing this fact, the text had moved on to the second portion of now Sarvam Mithya, and the whole Jagat is Mithya also. So how is Jagat Mithya still needs to be explained, and to explain that was the whole creation model that was elaborated. So just a quick revision, because now if you recall the very first diagram, I don't have it here, Brahman, Maya, Trigunatmika, and Brahman, that arrow right down throughout, and from Maya, the 5 subtle elements. This much you remember. Now the Brahman running throughout, we said, is the changeless principle. It remains there. If you remember and if you can derive from it, it just implies that if the creation of Maya was Sattva Rajas Tamas, Sattvic element of space brought about Shrotra Indriya, etc. So all the 5 elements, Sattvic content of Maya brought about total Indriyas, total Gyan Indriya. Wherever there is a Gyan Indriya, that has come about in the same sattvic amsha of Maya elements. Same thing with Rajas, Karmendriyas and Pranas. Wherever there are Karmendriyas expressed totality, wherever there are Pranas expressed in totality, that means even animals have the digestive system, circulatory system, etc. And those who have pets know this very well. If you have a dog or a cat, you know how often their stomach or something gets upset, that there's this breathing also changes, and there's so many recognizing features around it. That means wherever there is karma indriya manifest, pranas manifest. It has come from the rajasic element of, or rajasic component, I don't know what to call it, rajasic guna is the right word. The rajasic guna of Maya, of the 5 space, air, fire, water, earth, respective karmendriyas and pancha pranas have emerged from there. The tamas part of it, which is absolutely the opposite in gunas, when we did the 3 gunas, sattva, rajas and tamas, we said sattva is bright, is illuminating, is contributory to knowledge because it is light in itself. It is transparent. It is absolutely unsullied. It is pure. It is actually transparent is the only word I can say. It is so transparent that even a transparent word has some sort of a material layer. Sattvic guna in its purest element is transparent without the element of that matter around it. It is that reflective. It is that much of a mirror that it expresses. It is, it's like you have certain lakes. Even in India, there is a lake there which is so pure that you can see through the pebbles. When you go to even Pangong Lake, when you have, if anybody has been to any such lake, throughout the world there are these lakes. If the water is absolutely clear, Mansarovar, if the water is absolutely clear, you can actually see the pebbles. And in India, you have this particular lake where, you see the boat, this image keeps floating. The boat is riding on it and you can actually, you don't know where it is, the boat. It is that expression of clarity of water. It's whatever is thrown on it is reflected exactly. That's what I mean by transparent. How transparent is sattvic guna? That is how transparent it is. Opposite of it, completely on the other extreme, was the tamasic guna. Tamasic guna means now it is dense. It has now got darkness. It has become so dense a matter that light also doesn't penetrate through it. There's nothing that is penetrating through it. It has become dense, dark. As a result of which the sattvic expression of it is virtually not there. So in a pure tamas means it is impossible to reflect anything. It is just darkness. It is just, darkness is the only right word actually. It is just, it's an engulf of darkness. How science would say dark matter, I wouldn't go into associating it like that. But the idea of a dark, dense component, which is completely not reflecting anything that goes through it. So it almost like becomes a dark hole, the black hole. Everything just gets thrown here in black hole, everything absorbed. But in a tamasic guna, it is so dense and heavy. It is so dark that that expression of tamas, I'm talking at the pure levels at the moment. The purity of that tamasic guna, as it would be impossible to reflect anything. Tattva, on the other hand, is so clear that it will reflect whatever falls in it. Whatever comes in association with it, it will just reflect clearly. That means, supposing there is an absolutely transparent something and something is reflected from this side, the seer on this side can see it absolutely to the details clear. This is the understanding of the guna in its pure state. But when the elements are forming, that's the space, air, fire, water, earth, now they are now all one component each. By the time the tamas is modifying, that means tamas already being dark matter, dense matter, is the most likely to become physical, because physical matter is all tangible. So whatever doesn't reflect through clearly is now a tangible modification of the tamasic guna, and so the whole srishti we saw has emerged. The grossification process has come of the 5 elements, keeping the tamasic component of the Pancha Mahatattvas, the main there. And now you see there is Sukshma Shariram formed, there is Sthula Sharir, totality is also formed, and we saw that in the case of individual, over there when we did the Pancha Koshas, and you remember we said what is the origin of the body? Anybody remembers? The body, gross body has origin. What is the definition? Annamaya. Kosh itself is Annamaya. So Annamayam is the point of reference where we said the body is made up of Annam. And what is Annam, we said? Earth. It's all food. Food sheath is all earth. Earth element over there. With components of that little prana running through the plants, etc. But the idea that has now thrown across is that whatever has come from dark matter is sthul, and sthul is not capable of reflecting whatever is in association with it. But sukshma matter, subtle matter, is still being sattvic component there, still has the capacity to reflect it. What about rajas? Rajas is that active content. So it is most often so restless, and it's like the water which is wavy, which is in turbulence. From mild waves to absolutely turbulent waves. That's the rajasic component. So whatever will be reflected is naturally not bound to be clear. Because if on a reflected surface of water, wavy surface of water, something gets reflected, do you get a clear image? No. So what really has been left as the clarity part is in the antakaranam. Gyanindriya and the antakaranam, made from the sattvic component, have in it the capacity to reflect. Reflect means to show, to become a mirror, as if to present whatever is on the associated side, whatever is associated with it, whatever falls with it, whatever is there along with it, whatever is alongside it, it will reflect it. Now, Sukshma Shariram becomes the reflective body because it is Sattva Pradhan. That Sukshma Shariram, which is Mano Buddhi Chit Ahankar now, Gyanindriyas are of course helping get information from outside, but total Sattva element of all of them is your Sukshma Shariram. So it is a Pratibimbam. It works like a Pratibimb. Means it is now presenting a reflected image. If you remember one of the previous slides and few classes back, we said pot reflection, sun, total sun, and reflected sun in a pot. What was the total sun? That total sun we said is Atman, Brahman. What is the pot reflection? Is that conditioned consciousness we had said. Is the sun over here is not different from the sun over there. But there is a reflecting medium here because of which you see sun in the water, if the pot has water. But if there is no water in the pot, will you see a sun there? You can't see a sun there. So for the pot itself must have its shape as a cavity. it must have certain capacity to hold water in it. So water is as if given a shape by that component, and sun gets reflected in water. I equate it proportionately to the gross body. Gross body has all these, what we do even in our meditation. I enjoy it thoroughly because it brings me a sense of reality immediately, to the relative reality also. That even a little delusion is not allowed in a human life. As much as possible, we can fight it. We can at least put up a resistance to the delusions that come into our minds. Is when you just see that the outer body is actually only sockets. A skull meditation. It's called a skeleton meditation. I don't usually do it because people are very afraid of it. But those who have the courage and who have certain background with their studies, biological studies, skeleton is a meditation. That is how in the olden days, actually people, sadhus and people who would renounce things to pursue the truth. And this is now, I mean, these real seriousness and statement is said with serious sincerity and seriousness. They would spend some time in what are those places called? Sorry, what? Shamshan Ghat.
A cremation
Shamshan
ground.
Ghat, or
Yeah.
cremation ground. Yes. They would spend time there. You know why? Because now you are directly in facing the truth of the body. What is that Shamshana, that cremation ground, a reminder of? It is while you're alive, because once you're gone, there is nothing here to reflect it. That body may say, jo reflecting your pani sukh gaya. It means nikal gaya, beh gaya. That punctured pot, pani beh gaya. So punctured body, all the pranas and everything has disintegrated back into their own elements. Now, what is here in Shamshan? Those who are really serious in that time. Nowadays, I don't know how much. Either we are living in urban areas, that is why you don't hear such things, or we've got conditioned to learning it at an intellectual level. So we don't have such courages, or we don't do such practices, maybe. But whatever be it, the truth is, it is up to a person. You don't have to go do it, because it doesn't mean those who haven't gone haven't done the reflection, obviously. It just means that instead of spending a night there, if I need maybe 5 nights more, or 10 times more, or maybe 30 times more, if I can do meditation and I can get the same sense of reality of this body, if I can affirm to my mind that it is so temporary, and I can see through the skeleton, there's nothing but bundle of bones and sockets. But is it not important? Is that pot not important? Because but for the structure the pot gave, the water is not reflecting in it. But mere pot without the water is also just an existent pot, but it is not a reflecting medium of what is giving it life. It doesn't reflect the sun. So this Sukshma Shariram, made up of Sukshma Pancha Mahabhut, Pancha Tattvam, made up of Pancha Tattvam, this Sukshma Sharir is what is so, where we are mixed up in our identity. Mano, Buddhi, Chit, Ahankar. What is this Sukshma Sharir actually called? This Sukshma Sharir by itself, without the form of the body, is not able to reflect the sun. If it doesn't have a holding ground, water vapor is not reflecting the sun. It has to have a ground on which it is there for us to see, whether it's a riverbed, it's an ocean, but it must have something on which the water is collected, where the sun is reflecting. The one who is now in identification, Jal, घड़े के साथ as if जुड़ा हुआ है. When you say a pot of water, when you keep water for birds outside, that's a very beautiful thing. Those who did, at least, or who do, you have this mitti ka bartan in which there is pani kept, water kept for the birds to come and drink, especially in summers. Now, pani is looking as if it is associated with the pot. It looks like it is one. उसी के साथ जुड़ा हुआ है पानी. सूक्ष्म शरीर as if इस स्थूल शरीर के साथ जुड़ा हुआ है. The subtle body is as if in unison, is joined with, is in association with the cross body. This one, Sukshma Sharir, has ahankar, aham karta buddhi. It's defined now. This ahankar buddhi, ahankar vritti, not buddhi, ahankar vritti. Vritti means a thought which has an image associated with it. It has a direct relation more to the image than the thought. Thought gives us the idea of a thought first and then the image, because thought is with the image, but slight difference. Vritti is just not an image, it is an impression. An impression-based thought. That impression becomes an image and that image becomes a thought. That's the whole meaning of the word vritti. Easily translated as thought, they're not wrong. Well, it's the same thing. But what is ahankar? Is aham vritti. It is the very notion of I, aham. And what is ahankar defined as? Aham karta. So if you expand the I notion, I impression now, call it I impression. What is that I impression really associated with? How do you get the idea that it is a karta? Obviously, in association with the organs of action. कर्म इंद्रियों से जुड़ा हुआ. It has a self-cognition. It has a self-awareness. It has a self-knowledge. I am. But that I am is not separated out. That I am is actually joined as if it is associated with the karmindriyas, and that karmindriya means now pranas, and it is Gyanindriya, the whole Sukshma Shariram, and with that is associated because karmindriya is reflecting through your organs of action. So karmindriya means because there is a pada, pani, upastha, vak, so you also have the hands and feet and speech, etc. This associated with the sthula shariram, he is called that abhimani. Aham vritti, in association with the sthula shariram, is the sthula sharira abhimani. I am this form. Like I said yesterday, if the stool were to get this abhiman, that it is also existent. Stool, wooden stool. Yesterday we saw, if the wooden stool were to develop a self-consciousness, a self-awareness, will it not have an abhiman ki main bhi hu? And if you try and sit on it, what will the stool do? It won't let you sit. It will move away. Because it will also have karmindriyas. जहाँ सर अभिमान होगा, कर्मेंद्रिय भी होगा, तो उसका कर्मेंद्रिय वो चलाएगा, वो slightly move away हो जाएगा. The minute you're about to sit, you will fall down because the stool abhiman said, I will not let you sit on me. Dare you sit on me? And you try and keep your hot glass on it, and it won't let you. Yes, it won't let you keep anything on it. If anything, it will keep moving away. It will no longer be a serving need, utility for you, because it is expressing itself with self-consciousness. Wherever there is self-consciousness, self-awareness, that is the point of I would say, a delicate inquiry. Whole Vedanta Shastra, entire Vedic knowledge, Vedic parampara that we have, I won't say unfortunate, fortunate. I don't think there is any scope for any such judgment here. But the truth is, the entire Vedic vision is oriented to that Abhimani, Sthula Abhimani, Sharira Abhimani, which means what? It is oriented to the one who is self-aware. The Vedic knowledge is oriented only for the one, the entire Vedic knowledge. And look at, as we have already now done in details in the beginning classes, orientation classes, the whole vast literature of Vedas and Vedangas and Upavedas, and there is so much of literature under Vedas, and it is as if there was an infinity exploded. That is Vedas. Itself, the knowledge itself is as if infinity exploded as knowledge. It is infinity expressing as knowledge. That Vedas, the entire attention of the Veda is towards this one who has become self-aware. And the one who has become self-aware is only ahankarta. He is aware of the doership and the enjoyership and the I want, and he is aware of this, what the rajasic component is breaking the reflection. While sattvic component is allowing knowledge to happen through Gyanendriya, the rajasic component of it is entirely making it, what would be the right word? It makes it so volatile. It makes it so disturbed that the reflections are not clear. So you can't see clearly what is it reflecting. And along with it, the tamasic component, which just refuses to reflect anything, which is the very base of where the indriyas are functioning from. That if you don't have this tamasic sharir, born from tamasic element, if you don't have this gross sharir, the sukshma sharir has no expression. And therefore, the rajas and the tamasic components that are expressing themselves in manifestation are preventing the clarity of what is reflecting as awareness in the sukshma shariram through the sattvic component. So the self-awareing person now is calling himself a person. Wherever there is an expression of self-awareness, there are only two options there. Either self-awareness, and be careful what I'm saying, the self-awareness will be discerned in the nature of its expression. What is this awareness? What is the nature of this awareness? Self-awareness, either the choice will be to figure out, to discern, to understand, to recognize the nature of awareness that is reflecting here as I am this. Or if that is not done, if the nature of awareness, self-awareness is not discerned, not understood, not grasped, not even suspected, we don't even doubt it, because our self-awareness is taken for granted. It only gets hurt when someone injures us. When do we get hurt? It's not when I hurt my body that I get hurt. When I by mistake put my finger on the hot dosa tawa and my finger burns, or I hold a hot vessel and my finger burns, do I blame someone? I don't blame the tawa. I don't blame the vessel. I just blame myself. Oh, I was stupid to have held the hot thing. So I have got burnt. That is it. But I don't have that kind of, being run over by someone. But when I'm emotionally hurt by someone, when my ahankarta, ahankar, is now injured, felt injured from somewhere, I feel it from somewhere. This associated one with the body, sharira, sthula sharira, the minute it has an expression, our awareness is only around that much. Because it is completely confined to, I haven't done the acknowledgement of my awareness as an independent principle. Is it independent or not? I don't even know. Till Vedanta tells me we are all nothing but what this statement here says. I mean, there cannot be more correct a statement. I don't know if law of gravity ever gave me as much knowledge as this statement has given me. Just one line. But there, it is just pregnant with knowledge. It is just so. Each word, each letter put together is nothing but an expression of truth. Sthula Sharira Abhimani is the only one who is called Jiva. Because the pot does not have the Abhiman, the stool does not have the Abhiman that I am a stool, I am this form. Pot does not have the Abhiman, I am this pot. But I have the Abhiman. I also have a Sharir made of 5 elements. I could very well not have had the Abhiman at all. But none of us, and when we say Abhiman here, it doesn't mean just pride. It is owning yourself as I. So even those who say, I have no pride, I'm so humble, I'm such a good person, I only get hurt, I never hurt anybody, you don't know how kind and considerate and generous and good person I am. And there is no one like me in the world, and I don't know why everything wrong just happens with me, and I don't know why everybody is just after my life. And I don't know what I did wrong. I just don't know how I don't even hurt a fly. I can't kill a ant also, you don't know. All this is Sthula Sharira Abhiman. Because that cognition is I am limited. I am a limited entity. Now, whether you over-exaggerate your value or you under-exaggerate your value is immaterial to Vedanta. This over-exaggeration and under-exaggeration, which they call as ego superiority, inferiority, this is all Western psychology. Maybe right from a particular standpoint, but this is Atma Vichar. And in Atma Vichar, it certainly is not relevant whether you have a high superior value of yourself or absolutely no value of yourself. That you have a distorted value of yourself is all that is called Sharira Abhimani. You just don't have a right value of yourself. What is your right value? That awareness that is actually an expression here. Self-expression. I am. When I wake up in the morning, it's so fascinating. That is why Vedantic people are truly, if you have Vedanta, the more you get Vedanta, let me put it this way, the more you clearly understand Vedanta, the more lighter your being becomes, as if you are flying in the air all the time above people, not in the sense of, it's just so much burden off you. Because there are certain things that are just not correctable here till you correct them at the root. There are certain problems that cannot be solved here till you solve them at the root. So whatever is the expression of I am, and on top of it, I have all this written about me, myself, my characteristics, my ideas, my hopes, my expectations, my fears, my phobias, the list is endless for all of us. He is my enemy, she's my friend, my best friend, my BFF. From my BFF to my, what is that? We never say enemy is the best enemy, no? My worst enemy ever. My worst enemy ever. That guy. From now look at all these layers. Now I would see them as nothing but movie going on. I would say this is just a movie going on. It's a game, it's a play, it's something is happening on the screen because their attention is completely constricted and it is defined by the boundary of your Sthula Sharir in which the Sukshma Sharir is placed. Is expressing. I won't say is placed. Okay, placement is also correct. Placed. In one of the previous classes, I remember saying Sukshma Sharir just doesn't mean head here. It's not brain. Sukshma Sharir pervades your body. That is why you have a skin that touches, that gets you the knowledge of touch. Wherever the skin is, wherever you have a sensation, which you claim as my sensation, that is the point of your Sukshma Sharir, which is now in confinement to the body. Now this one who is a self-expression and is now confined to its knowledge of whatever the body is and whatever are the vrittis that are chittam, that are coming from past recollections, past impressions. That recollection is what is now getting mixed with the present perception. Aham, manas, buddhi, chit, chit, ahankar. What is the definition of chit? Chintana kartri chittam. That one that recollects. That means the subtle body is something which is every time you've associated with I am this body, sthula sharira abhimani, and he is associated with karta buddhi. He goes about doing work. He goes about engaging with organs of action. Like I said, supposing I am a painter and I have this urge to paint something, it comes first as just a mild thought. But if I just leave it over there, I don't identify with it at all. I just drop it. A thought came, but I did not act upon it. What will happen to the thought? What will happen to that? Where did the thought come from? Because I have a vritti. I have an impression. I have identified myself as a painter, as a sculptor, as a poet, as whatever, as a writer, as a doctor, as a healer, as a blah blah, as a scientist. The minute I have this boundary of I am this, I can be this, it's coming from some of my impressions that I think I'm comfortable doing it because I don't go out of my comfort zone to do something. We all stick to something which falls to some extent within our comfort zone, that we can think we can pursue for our life. The minute this has come about, impression of self-awareness, expressing in the confines of the gross body, and is so now restricted, reflected gunas, and so reflected by its past impressions, there is a total intermixture, as if. But the idea that I'm trying to convey is this Jiva, this is the one Ahankarta, who is now identified with the body, sharir, and has an expression of I am an individual. Yep. You have to accept me. I am also an individual. It's fascinating. If I am an individual, and the force that I have to say that I am an individual, and I see you, do you not have the same force that says you are an individual? And let's expand it to the animal kingdom. Is the force that I am an individual any less than anyone? Have you ever, if you have a trail of ants anywhere and you try to stop them by a finger, you also played with it. You stop just for time pass करते हैं ना कभी-कभी. तो वो bypasses ज्ञान इंद्रिय functioning. उसको अगर पता नहीं चलता कि यहाँ पे ऑब्स्टिकल है, that means उसको knowledge हो रहा है ना कि something's obstructing its path and it needs to move around. And this is what we know through sthula jnana. What our indriyas can capture. There are different bodies with different jnana indriyas expression. Like a bat has a qualified jnana indriya, which even we don't have, etc. Jiva means wherever there is a. I'm never going to be able to explain this as clearly today as this is coming today, because the topic will get over. Because this is your foundational classes, it is so important to get this right clearly, because this definition of Jiva, people just go through the whole study still not clear who a Jiva is. Who is Vedanta talking of as a Jiva? Word ही नहीं सुना ना, क्योंकि it has gone out of our vocabularies. We don't talk of Jiva, we talk of individuals now. And in modern times, better the grow your individuality, better a person you are recognized. The whole attention is on becoming an individual better. Jiva namakam. Thula sharira abhimani jiva namakam. This author is exceptionally organized in his thought that he can put these words like this. The whole thought flow has been so accurate. Hardly missed anything from the entire Upanishads. Thula sharira abhimani jiva namakam. And who is he? Brahma pratibimbam bhavati. Now see that Brahman coming all along? That arrow that was coming down throughout? I said the changeless principle, while the Maya aspect is going through, forming these transformations, there is this changeless principle which goes through, remains untouched, changeless. Brahma Pratip. That self-awareness may say, this Sharir Abhimani nikal do, so what is left? What will be left? If self-awareness may say, today we are self-aware, right? If you remove the body, Sharir Abhiman nikal do, what will be left? Which self-awareness are we talking about? When I say I am this individual, I am self-aware. Here the self refers to my name and form. If I remove the name and form, Deepti, name and Deepti, form, and when that self word means Deepti, name and Deepti, form, if I remove this name and form, what is left?
Jiva has gone basically, so only Atma remains. In the sense, everything remains, but only Atma Bhav remains in that sense.
So here in that self-awareness, if you remove the self as body and name and form, what remains?
Me.
Awareness remains. Self-awareness में self निकाल दो तो awareness रह गया. That awareness is Brahma Pratibimbam. It is the changeless because now you see it in your life throughout. Since the moment you become self-aware till the last moment of your death, just one, death is a very fine process. एक पल में निकल जाता है. तुम suffer उसके पहले कितना करते हो is all your prarabdha. That's a different thing. Yes. But that one moment, one pal, and then gone. Now this is a pot, empty pot. Nothing will bring life back to it. It's a used, discarded house. It's in ruins now. You don't go back to live in ruins. We have these forts and everything which have become travel expedition grounds for all of us today. And then we visualize Mughal era and this era and that era and this has happened and that has happened. And once the life is gone from here, it'll be fascinating. ये जो अहं करता है ना आज वो इतना बड़बड़ बोल रहा है और सुन रहा है और कर रहा है, इतना हल्ला कर रहा है. I am. Like a wave, sound wave. Yes. This, the minute that awareness minus the name and form, this awareness is Brahma Pratibimba. Saeva Jivaha Prakritya Swasmat Ishwaram Bhinnatvena Janati. This way the Jiva, who by himself, Swasmat, himself, he considers his own self as separate from Bhinnatvena. Janati, knows. What is the characteristic of a Jiva? Fascinating. The author says here, whoever Shankaracharya this is, he says here, जीव का लक्षण है कि वो अपने आप को ईश्वर से भिन्न जानता है. That separation from the Ishwaram. Now you look at that graph again, if you remember. I said these will now become. Why did he bring devatas beforehand? All Gyanindriyas have their devatas, Karmendriyas have their devatas, Antakarnam has their respective devatas, and all devatas are actually Brahman, Maya, is itself called Ishvara. Ishvara is not a form. It is a total power lent to all this that is now functioning. Animation. I was trying to draw a diagram. I was learning something today. I wanted to present this in a diagrammatic way. Sometimes I think, I don't know if some of the things it's been too descriptive of all this, but I don't know. I think it may be helpful. That's why I do it. And plus I get to learn something. I was trying to do a 3D paint to make this Brahman as Pavesa in a 3D way, so that you get this image, at least it's an image which will give intellectual clarity. Now this Brahman being all changeless, where is the animation jumping from? If you see any animated movie, suddenly you see all those structures, inert, and then there is this Katputlis, the Katputli show. Suddenly there is some mover of it. This Ahankarta seems to have consciousness, awareness. Thank you. Yes. But I couldn't complete it. I didn't get the time to finish the diagram because today, first time I was trying it out in the morning to see if I can do some 3D paint also. So I think it's a very fascinating area to delve into. Another tool that one can use to get familiar with. So now what is this whole Ahankarta? That sense of I am alive. I sense, I smell, I touch, I feel, I think, I hear. Are these all sentient or insentient pieces of knowledge?
Sentient.
If I say I hear, is this sentient or insentient?
Sentient.
Sentient. Absolutely. It is sentient. Sentient means that which has sentiency, which has consciousness, which is vibrant, which is, what is the right word for it? It's sentient. It's expressing consciousness. I heard clearly. And this is vibrant. There is knowledge with it. Knowledge is sentient. The sound has conveyed a meaning. Akash is not sentient. Vocal cord is not sentient. And yet when you said something and your Indriya heard it, there is a perception which seems sentient. I know now. Once we finish Tattva Bodha, since all of you are doing most of you who have sustained the class have picked up so well, I can get an Abhiman because I've done so well. But it's fascinating that will you be ever able to say that I do not know? If what you know is clear. What you don't know is, of course, you'll still say I don't know. What I know. It's sentient. Somehow the words that have emerged through the medium of space, those words have now given a knowledge. That sentiency, the totality of all this power of knowing and hearing and smelling and tasting and touching, which I constantly keep attributing to myself. Swaswabhimani. Swabhimani. I attribute it to myself. I have smelled. I have heard. I said so. I saw. I want to see. I want to go. And everybody be careful. Third wave is about to, at any time at the doorstep. So please don't go anywhere. It's time to pull the guards up. Nobody can predict it, but it is very much a time to be careful. So don't go anywhere. But I see that helplessness that starts creeping in. I have to get out. I just have to go somewhere. I just have to eat something or someone. do something. I just have to be something. I must get this finished. I must get this done. How much of an attention is on what makes the Indriya function? Without the help of the Indriya functioning, can you get anything done? And that is like in meditation, without the air available to us at the gentle way as if it is not even there. You are breathing in and out. Are we even aware of this air which is sustaining life? Breathing in and out. That totality of power which has been, we saw this in a different context, that is Ishvara. And what is the distinction of a Jiva? Nobody taught him. Nobody has taught. It is inherent in Jiva Buddhi that Ishvara is separate from me. That is why the curiosity, the prayers, the religions, everything emerges because of this bhed, Jiva Ishvara bhed, characteristic of the one who's confined to the body. Knowledge of himself being in the body, with the body. Sharira Abhimani. So the characteristic of Jiva's one line will be Ishvara bhinnatvena janati. Ishvara is separate from me. Janati, he knows it. Nobody's taught it. You know, when you're born as a first child, in our custom in India, I know, in us we know when your newborn is child, and I think your family member, normally a bua is given the task of making the newborn hears the first words, and we are all told by our elders around, Om कहना, Om कहना. मतलब तुम्हें कुछ और कहना हो, तब तो you are also yourself a young person, teenager, you yourself don't know all this what's happening, and yet your elders are saying, let the child first hear the words Om. I don't know if the custom still prevails in most of the urban areas. It does. It's fascinating if you go on reflecting why Om has so many meanings. Om is the entire sound. Forget the religion part of it. Indriya, you are activating the child's Indriya by giving exposure to the entire range of human sound. Even scientifically, it is so good. Not that we need to depend on it. Plus, Om is representing something. The minute the child hears the sound, there is something in which it reflected. The sound became sentient. I heard, whether the child at that time has self-awareness, but the perception has formed. The impression has formed without self-awareness. Om has become the first heard. And wherever the first heard is Om, we may spend our life in delusion, but that impression cannot be undone. रुक रुक के आएगा कभी ना कभी. क्या मतलब है? क्या है? We already heard Om. There will be a familiarity of the sound, whether you know it or not. This Ishvara bhinnatvena, Ishvara is separate from Jiva. Janati, you already know you are separate. Nobody taught you at that time as a child कि देखो भगवान तुमसे अलग है. मानो इस बात को. Did anybody teach you that? You were taught तुम्हारा नाम ये है. Were you ever taught भगवान तुमसे अलग है? Fascinating. I mean, I was told my name is this. मुझे हंसी आती है सोच सोच के कभी. I am told my name is this. Means I am basically nameless creature. Somebody has given me a name, and now I am that name. When you Google it, you get me. I am the name. Now, this Ishvara bhinnatvena janati is a characteristic. Every sentence here is going to be very essential because we've entered the most pivot, most fulcrum, most essential topic of Vedanta, Mahavakya. The whole book has been building itself around this point now. That the characteristic of Jiva is Ishvara Bhinnatvena Janati. I know God is separate from me. And just by the way, for all those who have heard Vishnu Sahasranama Bhashyam by Shankaracharya before, the entire emphasis Shankaracharya says in Vishnu Sahasranama is Abheda Upasana, Abheda Upasana. When you do Vishnu Sahasranama also, do it with Abheda Buddhi. That Ishvara is not separate from me. And this is where you make grounds in Advaita Vedanta. Not by getting success in the world, not by getting popularity, not by getting following, not by becoming efficient and सारी मिथ्या जगत में you want to get efficient in the world? You see the irony? There can be more, not that it is not desirable. Efficiency is desirable. Of course it's desirable. But can that be the objective of a Vedic Shastra? Can that be an objective of any Shastra? That is a high misleading. Efficiency is a byproduct of anybody who has the right knowledge. And the fact that it is related to what I was saying.
You were talking
Efficiency
about
is any of it. Sorry?
you were talking about efficiency.
It's just a byproduct. The fact that we've spoken about sadhana chatushtayam very first. If your antakarnam is all under your management, these will be byproducts. All the worldly gains are bound to be byproducts. And it's a waste of life if you're going to only pay attention to them and make them your life goals. That is what makes it valid knowledge. Ishvara bhinnatvena janati. This Jiva Prakritya Swasmat Ishwaram, that Jiva is by himself having that knowledge that I am different from Ishvara. And that is the whole Dvaita school, Vishishta Dvaita school, where Bhagwan is the Swami, I am the Sevak. All that philosophy, everything, and there are sampradayas and the whole world will come up to the point. Every religion, every philosophy will come up to the point of Vishishta Dvaita. Dvaita. What are they? Some other context. A little bit I touched upon. But important thing is, as long as you have the idea that I'm different from Ishvara, Dvaitam is there. And as long as Dvaitam is there, he'll continue later on. I will not add words. Let's follow the book. Dvaitam is there. Means even if I have a lot of knowledge in the world, even if I am a nuclear scientist and even if I have been awarded the Nobel Prize, even if I have discovered a new planet, I discovered a new star. All my life effort and I discovered a new star. What is my internal buddhi? I don't know who God is. Is he there or not? My only choice is either I believe in God or I don't believe in God. But I don't know what is God. But I know there is a new star I discovered. According to Vedanta, what are you? Not any wiser. You will probably go get some little anugraha of having discovered something, yes, sensory knowledge. Maybe next you will live on that star. A star is named after you. But if you can see the fine line of distinction that Vedanta makes to knowledge, self-knowledge, I don't think there's any greater blessing in this planet or in any life anywhere. That whatever we achieve in this life in the name of something that is, what is its worth at the end of the day? Even if I discover a new planet, life on another planet, I still don't have the answer, is God there or not? And what is the relation of God life? What is life? I'm looking for life on a new planet, but what is life? And that is what makes us all Vairagis and Vivekis. And therefore, mumukshus, from somewhere or the other, even on a bad day, you'll pick up yourself and say, "Nahi, I think sense control and thinking, oh, I can't lose grip on all these things," because slowly, a life gets built around these values, because it's the values that is going to help you hold that knowledge. वरना गेन किया हुआ कितनी जल्दी खो भी तो जाता है ना. We don't remember what we learned in our schools except the first poem, Baba Black Ship Had You Any Blue. We forget so much knowledge, we'll forget this also. There are people who may be hearing it for so many times, but yes, differences between this knowledge and other knowledges. You may forget, but the having heard, it has left something there. It'll get triggered again. But the point is, what knowledge are we pursuing and what will be its benefit? And that is how there's internal development that shapes itself. Knowledge shapes the development, not the individual. Aham karta is not shaping my internal development. It is the knowledge that is shaping my internal development. As always, I say too much. We will end the class here. And it is a very fascinating topic. Yes, it is coming to the conclusion. We'll just conclude this for now. And we'll continue next week. So, हाँ जी, आप कहेंगे?
हाँ जी. ॐ सर्वेषां स्वस्तिर्भवतु, सर्वेषां शान्तिर्भवतु, सर्वेषां पूर्णं भवतु, सर्वेषां मङ्गलं भवतु, सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः, सर्वे सन्तु निरामया, सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु, मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्. ॐ स्वस्ति प्रजाभ्यः परिपालयन्तां न्याय्येन मार्गेण महीमहीषा, गोब्राह्मणेभ्यः शुभमस्तु नित्यम्. लोकाः समस्ताः सुखिनो भवन्तु. काले वर्षतु पर्जन्यः, पृथ्वी सस्यशालिनी, देशोऽयं क्षोभरहितः. ब्राह्मणाः सन्तु निर्भया. ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः.
Everyone.
Thank you.